Namaste, Angel. This is going to be a client reading for a young sister on my Facebook page. I meant to do it for her yesterday. I had told her I would have it for her yesterday. And I don't know, those of you who saw the love reading, I did something to my thumb on Friday. And that it was like I injured the nerve, and it was like going all the way through up my arm and whatnot. So I don't know. I decided to do some healing and detoxing on myself. And then yesterday, as a result, I ended up with a headache. My thumb doesn't hurt anymore, and I don't have a headache anymore. But you know, when toxins are coming out, sometimes that's how it affects me anyway. And some of you who've had the cleanse and stuff, you'll say, is it normal for me to get a headache? And you know, so it's that type of thing. Anyway, I'm doing it. I feel better. I'm doing it, and she will have it shortly. I'm beginning with listening. I have seen, other than this, evidence of a potential air sign. Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. I think I'm feeling more Aquarius, but that doesn't necessarily have to be yet. We'll see. Fire sign, possibly, and possible water sign too. Fire sign, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, and water, of course, Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. So of the water, what I've seen so far, it was like it could, Pisces might be involved, or Scorpio might be involved. I mean, Cancer could be too, but I didn't really see any. I didn't really see or feel any Cancer. And on the fire, possible Aries. But of course, it could be any of those. All right. In any case, this card also, which is what made me think of that. This card also makes me think of Aquarius. The star in the tower represents the sign of Aquarius. And air signs, not only Aquarius, but Gemini and Libra as well. All of us are about communication. In fact, Gemini is actually the quote-unquote great communicator of the zodiac. When I look at Aquarius, think about Aquarius, for me, not only communication, but electronic communication comes through with Aquarius. And that would be, listening would be attached to that. Listening in this way anyway, this sort of meditative listening with our minds, and you know, telepathic thought and conversation and speech is also electronic, because we are electric beings. So there's that. There's communication with the universe. There's a need to do some meditation. And I had talked to her briefly about clairaudience. And that too can be why this card is showing up. We're learning to listen in a new way, to be like conscientious of things that we're hearing and how we're hearing them. I'm sure I'll talk to her more about that. Opening to expectancy. This card is about us letting go. So in a vulnerable and surrender-like state, like this feminine is doing, she's completely, you know, vulnerable in this state. She is nude. Her eyes are closed. She's just, you know, allowing the universe to work through and with and for her. When we do that, surrender. We let go of these expectations that we have placed upon the universe. Like, we're supposed to ask for what we want, you know, like ask and you shall receive. You know, we've been, most of us have been hearing about that since we were children. Particularly people that grew up Christian, but I think it's a pretty common phrase, ask and you shall receive. This is true. But what we've gotten the habit of doing is not only asking, but like sort of trying to dictate to the universe how to give us, what to give us, when to give us. And when we do that, we block our blessings. So this card guides us to let go of these sort of expectations and limitations we place upon the universe, and let it instead, allow it instead to work. Gateway. Gateway is pretty straightforward. It's like, you know, reaching a place in your life, more so than a crossroad. It is a gateway, like a portal, where a shift, you know, where we're constantly shifting. And earth connection, which would be my first sign of earth sign energy. I mean, but that could be too. And now we would have seen all the elements, but you know, but once you look at people's sun, moon, and rising, sometimes it does come into play. Whether somebody's an earth sign or not, this earth energy is showing up. And it indicates that there's a need to not only do some meditation, but like as much as possible where, you know, if you live somewhere where it's conducive to this, to do it like outside, to do something where you're connecting with nature. So when we say meditation, that doesn't mean you have to sit down in Indian pose, you know, with your hands in a prayer pose and anything, you know, chanting anything. You can, you know, and you may, and no judgment if you do. I mean, that's an awesome way to meditate too, but you don't have to. Meditation can be you're sitting on a bench with, you know, listening to, you know, whatever your favorite music is, whatever genre of that music you're into, and you're connecting in that way. You know, you're being still, you're being at peace, surrounded by nature. That's enough. That's meditation too. Gateway and message from afar, which brings back in the fire energy that I was feeling, but and can be connected to listening and that telepathic communication. It can be communication not with another person necessarily, but also just with the universe. Remember, receiving these like intuitive messages, answers to your prayers, you know, things that you're noticing in that way. Those are all messages from afar. Signs, synchronicities, you know, things that stop and make you go, I'm gonna cut. And divine guidance. I always like to notice the number 8. This card with the moon in it can also again be reflective of water signs in particular. Pisces, maybe. In the tarot, Pisces represented by the moon. Cancer, the sign of Cancer actually ruled by Earth's moon. Scorpio can also be showing up here. Also, because of this 8, which sort of like looks like the infinity symbol, and represents for me the fact that this guidance is always available to us and never ceases to be available as long seek, ask, and you shall receive, right? But karma connected to the planet Jupiter for me. Jupiter, ruler of Sagittarius, which is currently retrograde in Scorpio. I saw right before I took the cards away, or right after I took the cards away, rather. I don't know if you saw, there was like an orb that flew at me. Anyway, the overall energy is Golden Path. And this card for me, it's like it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. And that's what I use to explain it. The Golden Path is the path toward healing. You know, it's a long path, and by the time we have so many areas to heal, right? There's physical, emotional, spiritual. So we're growing and we're healing every day. We're going down this path while we're on this journey, spiritual journey. When we get to the end of the Yellow Brick Road in the movie The Wizard of Oz or The Wiz, whichever one you like, it's the Emerald City is where we're trying to reach. That's at the end, the Emerald City. Well, you know, and that's where you find your healing overall. Wow. For me, at the end of this is the Emerald Ray. So I don't know if you're familiar with the rays of light, but the Emerald Ray is the ray of healing. And when we get this card, when I pull this card, it indicates that somebody is on the right path, even if they don't feel like they are. And that there's a need to continue down, even if we feel like, you know, we come across these difficulties and bumps in the road. That is the path toward healing and further enlightenment. Okay, so now I'm going to do a spread. I do a spread from the perspective of the Divine Masculine by connecting with his higher self, and first with yours. The first card represents the feminine about herself. So be connecting with your higher self to pull a card for you, and then the masculine about the feminine, about himself and your union as a whole. Then overall, what the masculine would have you do toward the union, what he himself is willing to. what the universe would have the two of you to do, and the outcome. Feminine by herself. Tantric union. So this is another card of communication. Can be in 3D. I mean, can be on this plane of existence, but not necessarily. This could be about 5D communication too. And again, telepathy, speaking to people in dreams. Even if you're awake, it could be daydreaming and connecting with people, seeing things, what we call remote viewing, seeing things that are going on at a particular place and time where you are not physically in that same place. All of that can come through tantric union. The masculine about the feminine, inner child. And this is more that air and water energy for me too, with all these like white puffs of smoke and all the blue and that's here. But also the stars, again, represent the sign of Aquarius for me. However, they're placed over there, like strategically over all the communication centers, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, the crown chakra. So they could really represent, you know, just communication as well. And the fact that this inner child, may have something to speak. Now, if this is the way the masculine is viewing you right now, is seeing you, he may be seeing something that you don't realize, that there is a connection that you need to make with your inner child as part of the healing process. And the green comes through, and there's more green, I don't know if you can see here, in this third eye chakra. Like that's where we really need the healing right now, and maybe to work on decalcifying the pineal gland, which is the third eye. He may see you doing that already, the masculine, and sort of be in awe of it, if that makes sense, of like your spiritual growth. And maybe even as compared to his own, like, you know, he might see you growing at a faster rate, I'm getting as well. Masculine about himself. Relationship. That before we can have a relationship with somebody else, we must first heal the relationship with ourselves. And when we really want to have a relationship with somebody else, we're willing to do that. We're willing to do what we have to do to be able to get to that point, to work on ourselves. He may have to visit with his inner child as well. The union as a whole between the two of you. Golden memories. So there's like some stuff that you have to leave in the past. It's like you have to drop this baggage. It's like drop it like it's hot, and like as in it's on fire and it's burning your hand. Like get rid of it. If you're carrying, either of you, this would be applied to both. You're carrying anything that would limit you from your future. Again, block your blessings. Any resentment, inability to forgive, regret, things from your childhood that you have yet to work through and deal with, address, face, past experiences, you know, that were negative emotions tied to other experiences, other people, other situations that you're bringing into this. Like, don't bring them into your future. So when we pull this card, it's an indication that we need to take a look around at our present situation, acknowledge that we're going forward, decide what do we have in this present situation that we want to continue to have, that we want to bring with us. What should we drop right there? And what have we brought into our present situation from the past that we didn't need to, that we should get rid of? This card is also representative of fire sign energy for me. The presence of fire sign energy. Overall, abundance. So it's more earth. And again, the need to connect with nature. Earth signs, again, would be Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. And there's a need to connect. This can also be representative of Venus herself, ruler of Taurus, but also Libra and Gemini. A need to connect with her, with like Mother Nature. Again, maybe doing some meditation or something outside, spending time in nature, that's going to open up your flow of abundance. What would the masculine have the feminine do toward this union embrace? So again, there's a need to get, from the perspective of the masculine and his higher self, there's a need for you, the feminine, to become more harmonious on the inside. This card looks like a couple that's, in a tight, loving embrace, beautiful embrace. It is really one person's inner masculine and feminine coming together in a harmonious way. So this is what we're trying to achieve, all of us. It's no slight against you, and you're not on your own. This card also reminds me very much of, in the tarot, there's a card called Temperance that represents the sign of Sagittarius. Some more fire, first and foremost. And it's a card that indicates the universe is helping us to heal. Like it's sending us healing energy so that we can, come back into balance like this. Temperance, also, the card Temperance, also tends to remind me of the sign of Aquarius, because on that card, it's also called Balance in some decks too. There's usually like an angel, an angelic being standing there holding a vessel of water that's, spilling out, standing in a pool. To me, that's the water bearer. So I always think of Aquarius too when I see not only the Temperance card, but this one that also gives me that same feeling. What is the masculine himself willing to do? Guardian. And he's got these two cards here from himself of like the same colors. This very fiery energy of passion and drive, ambition. Like I'm really going to go after these things and make these changes. And being conscious that we have support. So again, that infinite guidance, like he's aware of it. He's conscious of it, that it walks with him, which is awesome. What would the universe have the two of you to do? Aww. Sacred union. Sacred union. I felt it before I started this spread. The fact that you and I connected and found one another. I said, this must be one of the young divine unions I'm supposed to help. So there we have that, sacred union. And outcome, blessings. So basically all will be well. Abundance will begin to flow if we do these things. And it's, it might not even be that difficult for you. I feel that you probably already have an idea of the things that you need to let go of. That may be, slowing you up on your path. So now that perspective again was mostly from the masculine higher self. I'm going to do one that's more so from the universe, beginning with New Love and opening to Beauty Queen, which is another card that's very representative of Venus for me. And Venus, ruler of Taurus, Libra, and Gemini, but also like the planet of love, beauty, femininity, popularity, all of these things. And so that's why this card reminds me of that. Opening to Triangle. And I saw this card when I was shuffling and I said, I think she's in some kind of committed relationship. I don't know. I mean, I thought that, and I could be thinking about the wrong person too, but I thought I had seen something like that about, with you. This doesn't have to be a love triangle though, but there's like a third energy, it would seem, that is not conducive to your relationship, that is around your relationship. Because again, I saw this card. This card came up as I was shuffling too for you. Beauty Queen and obstacles. That third energy may be the obstacle or one of the obstacles. Beauty Queen and young male. That's probably just your divine masculine. Seeing as you are a young couple. And opening to travel. This is not literal. I'm hearing like return, like somebody needs to return. Maybe it's him. I don't know, but perhaps there's some sort of separation right now, and the universe is calling to him to return. Oh, young male. And this card tends to represent a quote-unquote karmic energy for me. Now, everything of the universe that's like destined is technically karmic. But karmic, unfortunately, has come to be known as like a derogatory term. Like, well, okay, I'll use the example of we just saw Sacred Union. So like yours is the Sacred Union, yours is to be the divine, and this other one, if, you know, there's another situation, even a friend or something that's unhealthy, like, oh, well, that's a karmic. You know, he's like, really, even the soulmate unions are karmic by definition as well. But again, so sometimes I'll say like quote unquote karmic. And in that sense, like the more negative use of the word is the feeling that I get from this card. It can sometimes be an actual female that, again, is not an opposite young male. I mean, it could be somebody, again, that's in his life, that's some sort of block in his life. Dating. Cut. And control. So somebody's being also manipulated, or, you know, and or there's somebody who is manipulative involved here. Overall energy is long distance. So again, I'm feeling there may be some separation here. But this card will be representative of the divine couple. This is, again, from the perspective of the universe, what's happening right now. The divine couple, recent past, near future, the masculine's higher self, blocks to the union, what the feminine can do, the masculine can do, further advice from the universe, and the outcome. And we just saw blessings coming, and again, that was from the perspective of the masculine. And, you know, if he's needed to take a break or something, or withdraw a little bit or pull back, I would say that it was because he is going through that healing, and he is aware that he's on a path, and he's trying to figure it out, like he doesn't get it yet. So, you know, not to take it personal. Divine couple, Ice King. So this card, very air sign, and I had to be quiet for a second. I apologize. I was hearing something, that clairaudience thing. This gentleman tends to represent Mars for me. So again, Mars is the ruler of Aries and Scorpio. So those two signs can come in with this card for me also. And then the lion here, of course, Leo. But the Ice King in general would be an air sign to me. And I was feeling something and hearing something about Mercury, but it didn't completely materialize. Hopefully it will as I go on. Venus, of course, again, representative of air signs, as well as ruler of both Libra and Gemini, two air signs, in addition to Taurus. Aside from that, the two of you being represented by this card, Ice King, it's very emperor-like, like leadership and not... It's like contrary to the control and the manipulation, because it's like not letting anybody, not handing over the reins to your own life, you know, willingly to somebody else. Like you trying to remain in control of it. The recent past, karma. So I went through that whole thing with trying to explain the difference between karmic, and that can be what this was about. There are a couple of planets in retrograde, and those planets tend to be connected to karma, especially for me. Jupiter is in retrograde again in Scorpio, and this can be representative of this. With cards tend to have additional meanings, not just one meaning. And I just said Scorpio stands out for me with this card because this guy is like Mars, a Martian, and Mars is a ruler of Scorpio. So there's that karma that's attached to that. Also, Scorpio's other ruler, currently retrograde in Saturn, which is Saturn is a planet of karma for me too. It can be very restrictive of us, and force us to like work through things that we might not want to otherwise. Saturn. And so that can be having to do with that. Saturn also currently retrograde itself in Capricorn, which it rules. Pluto, again, is Scorpio's ruler, in retrograde in Capricorn as well. That's where I was getting the Saturn thing from. And also Jupiter is a big planet of karma. People call it the planet of luck. To me, there's no such thing as luck. There's only karma. So if it's good, then it's good. And if it's not, it's not. But when this card shows up, it could have been attached to that triangle and the third energy, and or that whatever that female represents, the brunette female. All of them can be tied together. Let's continue to see. Near future, soulmate. So there can be what's called a karmic soulmate in the mix, and that would explain a third energy. A masculine higher self. Ice Queen. So there is a situation involving a relationship, and we've got the king and the queen sitting here, not only sitting here together in the same spread, but crossing one another. Ice Queen tends to represent right away, boom, for me, Venus, again, ruler of Gemini and Libra. So she's certainly the Ice Queen. But then she's here pictured with a lion, a pet lion. So there's always room for fire signs there too. Blocks to the union. Spiritual growth. So this is what I was saying a minute ago. I was feeling that the masculine on this, just sort of like cognizant that he's going through something, but not really being sure exactly what, and trying to work through some things, and it's not personal. And that's what this means too. You know, if there's blocks of you guys coming together how you would like to come together, it's not anything you did or about you or, you know, or him. It's because we have to go through these things. Again, planets like Saturn, Jupiter, they force us to work through situations that we may have otherwise tried to avoid. Like, you hope this never comes up again. But, you know, a Capricorn moon, again, Capricorn moon by Saturn, sure enough, can bring up stuff that you were hoping you wouldn't have to look at again or experience again in life. When the planet itself, the hope, is in retrograde and sort of suspended and appearing to be moving backward, it makes us go backward and to revisit some of these things in our lives that, you know, we maybe try to ignore or put to sleep, you know, like things from our childhood and stuff. So that's the block, because each of you have some, you know, growing to do on your own. And if you're going to have a block, I'd rather have that one. What can you do that is positive toward this? You know, again, expect that he is still in the game. You know, even when you do have moments of vagueness and separation and you say, well, what's happening? Like, I haven't heard from you in a day or two, or whatever it is. He's still there. And what can you do? I mean, I'm sorry, what can he do? Friendship. Okay, first he's got one of these friends that's not necessarily actually a friend. It can be a frenemy. He's got that, but then there might be something that he has to work through and find out on his own and realize, you know, a friend can be some kind of soulmate too. And we have to go through the experience and let it play out. Sometimes when karma is involved. Further advice from the universe. Money. This is about putting effort into it, working on it. And also that sitting here next to Venus, Venus is the planet of abundance. So again, she will open that up for you as you continue on this spiritual path and connecting with her, connecting with nature. She will open up that abundance flow for you. But it also, this card is also about you continuing your work and efforts and about the value and the worth, you know, of the situation, the circumstance, the relationship, the union, and why you need to put the work in, why it's, you know, important, and the outcome. Mature woman. This is having grown. So you guys start out as this Ice King. By the time you finish, you thaw. You just go through these things. Okay, now we'll do something more, how you say, 3D, kind of. Beginning with the Ace of Air. Brilliant new ideas and inspiration, seeing the truth in the situation and the challenging beginning. The Ace of Air is a card of victory. It's also getting to the truth of a matter, you know, being enlightened, finding out some sort of information that you didn't know before. Opening to the King of Water, who is trustworthy, compassionate, respected, and cultured, and maybe again be a Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer, or somebody likened to those traits or attributes. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice and charity work. For me, charity work is love. Anytime we give of ourselves, you know, without expecting anything, that is love. The Ace of Air, pointing to the card, is about brilliant new ideas and inspiration and seeing the truth of a situation and a challenging beginning. It's a beginning nonetheless, right? So it's a beginning, according to the tarot, that it was difficult getting here. But I think it's more important that we're here. And here may be some sort of relationship that brings you emotional joy and happiness. And perhaps with a direct water sign or a representative of your energy as a water sign. Ace of Air. And opening to the Page of Fire, who is outgoing, creative, confident, and mischievous. News of an exciting new endeavor. Use your originality and ingenuity. The Page of Fire is a Sagittarius, most typically for me, or a younger fire sign. Leo, Aries, or even a Scorpio. Again, Scorpio co-ruled along with Aries by Mars, the red planet. Ace of Air. And the Sun with Archangel Uriel. Speaking of Sagittarius, the Sun represents the sign of Sagittarius in the tarot. Happy outcome. Brilliant new ideas that lead to success if we have confidence in ourselves. So just as the other spread showed, if we keep pushing and putting our effort in and working on ourselves, you know, we're going to receive these blessings. The Sun also can be representative of another fire sign, Leo, Aries. And for me, with the card in particular, most, you know, I would say Leo next, because Earth star in the sky, the Sun, does rule the sign of Leo. Ace of Air. And the Ten of Fire. Too much work. Accept help from others. Life is out of balance, and that leads to stress-related health concerns. So you, in the other spread, you needed to come into balance as an individual. And this can be about, yeah, too much work. Like, we're not putting in a 50-50 effort here. So one of us, you know, needs to lay down our burdens and ask for assistance with them. Ace of Air. And the Six of Earth, which is about balance and sharing and exchange, equity, fairness. Represents the planet Venus for me, although it's not a court card or anything. And the signs that she rules. Here's the scales of balance here for Libra. Here's all this earth here for Taurus. Okay, and all these like puffs of white smoke and air, Gemini. Gifts of money, time, or effort. New career opportunities. Receiving a loan or paying off debts. As it relates to love, I mean, it could be those things, but as it relates to love and romance relationships, it is about an exchange and that, you know, unconditional love for me. Ace of Air, I'm going to cut. And it's more Venus. She represents this card, or this card represents her for me. The Empress with Archangel Gabriel. Lavish abundance. Give birth to your dreams. Nurture yourself and others. This can be about being a mother. It can be about your relationship with your mother or something about your mother going on. It's about newness, right? Giving birth to new opportunities, new paths, new choices, new things, creative avenues, all that stuff in your life. If you're interested in getting pregnant, when this card shows up, it's a good time to work on that. Again, represents, like the other card, the signs of Taurus, Gemini, and Libra for me. And it's about abundance, too, in a big way. Panic card, Strength. So we do have more of this fire energy. Strength represents the sign of Leo. Great inner strength. Release harsh judgments. Instead, exercise some forgiveness and compassion. And opening to the Ace of Fire. An exciting new opportunity. Career advancement. Change your life now. So that one pretty much speaks for itself. That's exactly what it is. Aces are always new beginnings. And the Ace of Fire, with fires being about passion and creativity, is going to be an opportunity about which you are extremely passionate, whether it is work, a relationship, a little bit of both. It's going to be something that really drives you. Why did I change? I don't know. The overall energy was Strength, and then I opened to the Ace of Fire. There's a reason for that. I don't know what it is yet. Let's see. I'm thinking you needed to be guided toward being open to forgiveness in a situation. And so that's why Strength showed up. But at the same time, there was good news available for you, that there's a new opportunity coming your way. Here, crowning the masculine is the Star with Archangel Jophiel. The Star, again, represents the sign of Aquarius. I've been feeling Aquarius since I started this reading. Happy times. Make positive, optimistic, long-term plans. You are on the right path. Can also represent another air sign, Gemini, Libra. It's, more importantly, about prayers being answered, wishes granted. You know, your wishes coming true, your dreams coming true. So in this case, what the masculine has been focusing on, what he's been trying to manifest, maybe finally coming into his life. He's surrounded by the world. And this is another 3. When I see 3s in the tarot, similar to that triangle card that came up in the other spread, it represents some sort of party of 3. Not necessarily a love triangle, but that is a possibility, a third energy. With the case of the world, for me, like a lot of people read the world and they say, oh, it's about like the world is your oyster, the world's in your hands and all that kind of stuff. And it tends not to mean that for me. But instead to be about the universe stepping in to ease you out of a situation that you should have left alone yourself a long time ago, so that you can move forward toward new situations, whether it's a job, a relationship, you got a combination of some, a living arrangement. You know, you should have moved out a long time ago. You didn't. You should have broken up with this person a long time ago. You didn't. Or ended an extra affair or whatever. You haven't. You know, you stayed at your company or in the same position or whatever way too long. You knew you should have left a long time ago, started looking for a new job, you didn't. So now the universe easing you out of whatever that situation is and putting you into a new one. Very nice. At the root, it's that earth energy back again. The king of earth, who is generous, professional, responsible, and practical. I wonder if the masculine is a cusper, like Capricorn, Aquarius, or a Virgo, Libra, with all this earth and air showing up around him. A successful time. Confidently accept opportunities you're offered. You have the Midas touch. So the king of earth is about opportunities coming the masculine's way, and it's opportunities for abundance. It can very well be a job. And sometimes with the king of earth, like you didn't even have to apply for the job. Somebody will call you and say, oh, you know, there's this opening. We thought about you. And you're like, really? And the job is yours, that sort of thing. It's a good time to apply for credit. It can apply to relationships too, similar to the other spread where I said money, you know, represents the value and the worth, the longevity. The king of earth means the same thing as it relates to relationships, and this can be the world. Again, easing you out of one, maybe financial situation where there was financial difficulty, easing you out of that place of like strife and putting you into a new one where money is flowing in a better way. We've seen abundance, the fact that abundance was going to flow, but abundance comes in many forms, one of which is also love. So this could be a relationship, one ending, and not necessarily a romantic one. Sometimes we have one with a familiar relationship. You know, we have a relationship with our parents or something that blocks our relationships with our mate. So like something like that coming to an end where there was some kind of struggle or strife and making way for abundance instead in answer to the masculine's prayers. All right. Crowning the feminine, the six of air, things are looking up. It's the end of a difficult situation, as I was just describing. Somebody may have been taking a trip. And that can be another representation or another meaning for that long distance card and the travel card that came up in the other spread. But even if you're not taking a physical trip, this is a card of movement. So it's still metaphorical movement and it's forward. It's always forward moving. It's nothing negative with the six of air ever. We're moving forward. We're coming out of a time where there may have been rocky waters and we're moving into calmer, stiller waters where we're just sort of, you know, adrift. At peace. Surrounding the feminine, the four of earth, being too frivolous or too cautious with money. Good business decisions and giving to the less fortunate. For me, this is not just about money. It's about ourselves too. It can be about emotion, about love, like giving too much of ourselves or holding too much of ourselves away. And in a situation, for example, where there is a need for forgiveness, where something has happened, you know, to cause some sort of disagreement, you know, we can be hesitant to reopen ourselves, you know, and to allow somebody back in wholly, if at all. And so that could be when we're withholding ourselves and that we're doing ourselves an injustice too. If what we really want, in truth, at our core is to reconcile. Then by stealing ourselves away, we're doing ourselves and not just the other person an injustice. So that's where the need, again, for forgiveness and compassion come in. And not only being nurturing to other people, but to us and to our own needs too. Feminine subconscious, 10 of fire. So I just spoke of that strength card, which is major arcana card number 11. And it does represent fire signs. Again, represents the sign of Leo. And then here we have this fire. Too much work, accept help from others. Life is out of balance. And that can cause stress-related health concerns like high blood pressure and headaches and stuff. Just being stressed out because you just feel like you're overburdened and you need to, you need to and want to lay down those burdens. Well, the good thing is when there's a 10, it means this energy is coming to an end, right? It's about to expire. So that will happen. You will get to lay down those burdens. And after the 10 is an 11, right? That ace of fire, which is now our overall energy. So that explains why I was made to, after I had already come to the overall energy, why, and that was major arcana card number 11 too, but why I was made to instead reopen the deck to the ace of fire. Aces are 1s, aces are 11s in cards. Crowning, the king of water is back. He is trustworthy, compassionate, respected, and cultured. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice and charity work, which is love. So somebody may have some water in their chart or be a water sign. I still feel and have felt air and fire the most, but somebody can have some water because this has been showing up since the beginning too. Sun, moon, or rising or something. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice and charity work, which again for me is love. The King of Water, he's somebody who, is not afraid to show his emotions, but he's not emotional, if that makes any sense. He's not like crying over himself and whimpering and whatnot. His emotions are in check, but he, is cognizant of the fact that he has them and not afraid to show them, like in a healthy way. At the root, the High Priestess with Archangel Haniel. Listen to your intuition. Have patience and consider carefully what you want before acting. The High Priestess for me is another card that represents air or water. And most specifically Gemini as far as air, and water, Pisces, Cancer before Scorpio, but it could be Scorpio too. Listen to your intuition, have patience, and consider carefully what you want before acting. That is what she does. The High Priestess is, she is super intuitive, and she reminds us to use our intuition when we're making decisions and moves and whatnot too. But also she's an information gatherer, receiver, even if it's telepathically, it's intuitively, whatever. She knows things, and she doesn't act on them like recklessly. She might hold information. You might think she doesn't know. She's that good at holding information. You may think that you have a secret from her, and you don't. And she won't move or act on that until it's time. So just like it says here, have patience and carefully consider what you want before acting. She waits until time to pounce, so to speak. At the heart of the matter, the Five of Earths. This is a card of lack. Fears surrounding money. The wisdom to accept help from others and uncertain self-employment. Yeah, those things. But as it relates to relationships, also this card for me is about fear of commitment, fear of abandonment, fear of just lack in general. There was something missing in my last relationship or in this relationship before. I don't want to experience that lack again, so I'm going to avoid the whole situation. And that could be what these cards here in the middle of describing. Again, the world, something that just wasn't working out, and we should have changed it. We should have ended it, this phase, and started a new one, but we didn't. Now the universe is going to help us too. Or the Four of Earth, again, withholding too much of myself. Why? Because I'm afraid, to take certain action. So I'm further clarifying these with my Doreen Virtue Romance Angels, beginning with engagement. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. And opening to calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you this relationship together. Engagement. And this could be the one you've already met, the romantic partner you seek. Engagement. And honeymoon. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. There's actually a new moon. The new moon in Taurus. It's Sunday. Yes, Sunday. The 15th. Something else happens the 15th too. In the sky. Something having to do with Mercury, maybe. And maybe the day Mars enters Aquarius. I think that's what it is. Mars entering Aquarius. So again, Mars, ruler of Aries and Scorpio, entering Aquarius, the air sign, the water bearer. And opening to release your ex. The time has come to clear your energy. Engagement. And lastly, worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. Now that release your ex, for sometimes it is literal, and it means like an ex partner or something. You're still holding on to their energy, or maybe they're actively in the 3D and the physical still in your life somehow. And you got to get rid of that. And I think there may be some of that holding on to an ex's energy, again, like the energy of an old, a past relationship that was lacking and being afraid to move forward. That ex doesn't have to represent a romantic relationship. It can be something from your youth too, holding on to these fears of how relationships work and being therefore unable to move forward. But for me also, release your ex. Ex, it's more like X as in Malcolm, like release yourself out into the world, like who you are. X as in Malcolm, X as in St. Andrew. And you might not know about the story of St. Andrew, but St. Andrew was crucified, you know, the way they say Jesus was. But when he was crucified, put to death, he insisted that he not be put to death like Jesus. I'm no Jesus, so don't put me on the cross like that. Put me on an X instead. But he chose how to die. He made choices for himself. He was the author, you know, of his life. So that's what release your ex can mean for me too. When I read the cards and when I feel them, it's, again, somebody putting themselves out into the world. This is me, authentic, my ex. I'm done being like in a closet or kept away or whatever. And that's very Aquarian-like too. They are about freedom. Uranus is about freedom, which rules them. And an Aquarius can sometimes be like one man on an island, the only person with a particular type of thought or sentiment or feeling. And they tend to not be afraid to be that. But as a result, they can have some difficulty in relationships. I didn't mention I had come to unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. This can have to do with imbalance. It can also have to do with you know, a relationship, a past relationship or whatever. You know, like, for example, like the third energy, if there's a relationship with a third person, that it can mean a few things. So we'll see if it comes back up in the spread. And the overall energy is heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. Atop the star, let go of control issues and instead allow this situation to unfold naturally. So basically the universe is saying, if you asked us for help, you prayed, you had these dreams, these goals, you asked us for help with them. Now let us, right? Stop getting in your own way and blocking your blessings. Atop the world and the situation that needs to come to an end, that is coming to an end. So maybe there was bad love there. There was lack with somebody. And that's coming to an end. Now it is safe for you to love. Remember I said I felt like this 5 was connected to the two of you as it relate to withholding yourselves and have experienced lack before. So this is the universe saying, and the romance angel specifically saying to the masculine, it's safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. We don't have to be afraid of repeating those past negative experiences. But here atop the King of Earth is codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. Now addictions, you know, we tend to think of like substance abuse right away, and it's not necessarily that. In fact, it's often not that. Codependency can have to do with any person, place, or thing upon which, you know, we have an unhealthy dependency, and to which we have an unhealthy connection, a toxic connection, like a poor relationship with money, for example. That can be a codependency. Being like overly materialistic and not trusting in the universe to provide and these things, and realizing what is more important than the material and the earthly. Like that would be that. There can be an unhealthy relationship with someone who is an earth sign, for example. Those are just some, we'll see what else comes out. But if we're having control issues and codependency sort of go hand in hand, right? It's an unhealthy, like an ego-driven thing. Maybe based on fear, likely based in fear, not just maybe. Atop the 6 of air, flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. Since things are getting better, you can be, a little bit more happy-go-lucky. Drop your baggage again. Make your energy lighter. And when you spread that kind of energy, that's what's going to be returned to you. Atop the 4 of earth is getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. So this, again, is an indicator that you were withholding and you now need to give more of yourself so that somebody can really get to know you, your mate can really get to know you on the inside. Atop the 10 of fire is wedding. So this isn't, not necessarily you're getting married tomorrow or anything like that. In fact, that's not likely. But it signifies partnership. So like, I'll help you to carry these 10 wands, these 10 batons. You don't have to carry them on your back anymore. It's more of a 50-50 thing. This situation involves marriage. Also, like I said, these cards tend to have dual meaning. We saw in the very first spread, the sacred union. That's marriage at the soul level. Like, we don't have to get married in front of a justice of the peace or preacher or whatever if our souls are united. The scriptures say, and you don't have to be religious, but this to believe it, you can take out the word God and replace it with universe or whatever. But what God has brought together, let no man tear asunder. Like, it has nothing to do with man. It's at a soul level. Atop the king of water is children. Your love life is being affected by children. These can be children or a child that you have together, but I'm like feeling something else too that I'm not completely sure of what that is yet. Atop the high priestess is true love. This is the romance of a lifetime. So this is probably what your intuition is telling you and telling him. Like, you guys know that you belong together. Now I've just got to get there, in the way that it's intended. At the heart of the matter, atop the 5 of earth and this lack and this fear, it is healing family issues. That makes total sense. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. I said it could be something you grew up with, but it's not even necessarily that or your parents. In that case, for example, you guys could be the children. It's being affected by children. This could be you or your inner child, and you still have some sort of fear or lack of something that you grew up with that you've brought into your present life. But it doesn't have to be only that or that at all. This card says your parents, but anybody who is so impactful upon you that you can't move forward in your life, and in particular your love life, we have to fix that. Either by repairing the relationship or walking away from it. Again, in the masculine's case, he could be being eased out of whatever this is, in as peaceful a way as possible, and then guided to where he can find, through that healing and that spiritual growth that he was going through, where he can find that it's safe for him to try again in love. Like, just because, there were some hard times in his childhood, where love didn't, wasn't displayed to him in a healthy way, he didn't get to look at healthy relationships or whatever. This is just an example. Not trying to tell the story of his life, although I may be, because I've been known to do that. But even though he's seen that, he doesn't have to do a remake of that movie. He can star in his own brand new thing, and the romance angels say it's safe for him to do that. Further advice. I don't know. I probably should have left that there since I gave it to you, but I typically lay the masculine's cards first, just out of habit. So I don't know what that was about. Further advice for him, reflection. So I talked about looking forward at your life, looking back at your life, looking around at the present, seeing what you need to take with you, what you need to leave behind, what you should have got rid of a long time ago, but it's not too late. Get rid of it now. That's what the masculine is being guided to do as well. For you, celebration. To me, this card is not just of celebration and being celebratory. It is a card that speaks of divinity and spirituality, because this dove for me is very representative of the Pentecost. And if you know the story of the Pentecost, it is about the resurrection, but people read the scriptures and they don't read the scriptures, or they allow their preacher or whoever to tell them what they say and they don't really know. It very clearly says Jesus and quote unquote other saints were risen. I mean, several people, many people were risen, were, from the dead. These were the scriptures speak of ascended beings. And when I say the scriptures, I don't even only mean the Bible. I know the Torah, the Quran speaks of ascended beings, period. Elevated beings. And I'm convinced that is what we are on the path toward being. And so this card for me speaks to that, and the fact that you're on that kind of spiritual path, ever ascending from now on. The masculine, past love. So again, I do feel he has some sort of past relationship that he has to, of which he has to rid himself of the energy. And I think that's been evident in a few places. Aw, for you, boom, twin flame. So you already had sacred union and now twin flame. It's just, again, I was saying that this card was indicative of the spirituality. It's like not just of you, it's of your union as a whole. And this one would be as well, as was the sacred union, of course. For the masculine, very nice. 10 of water, a contented and rewarding family life. Your emotional and material needs are met, and you have trustworthy relationships. This is about being surrounded by friends and family, and even if that's just a family of one or two or whatever, and even if they're not blood relatives of family. It's about being happy with whom you are surrounded, by whom you are surrounded. For you, the page of water, who is intuitive, sensitive, artistic, and friendly. A new person enters your life. A relationship begins a new phase. And also this card can be about heightened psychic abilities. The page of water tends to represent a Pisces for me, but can be a Cancer or a Scorpio, or anybody of any zodiac sign making or receiving an offer of love, some sort of offer of love. Pages bring news. So this one brings news of something that is going to make you emotionally happy. From the romance angels to the masculine religious factors, your love life is being influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. And this card for me doesn't only apply to what we would think of as religious upbringing, but also like any kind of ideologies, belief systems, again, which it would be very Aquarian-like to want to break away from these things. And, especially if we've come into some sort of new understanding of them or ourselves or both, we're going to want to pull away from those things. And so there's a struggle, like an inner struggle there, religious factors. To the more positive, religious factors also for me sometimes can be about the divinity of a situation, the spirituality of a situation, of a relationship, a union. So it can be toward that as well. And lastly, for you, retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. So I think we came 360 because we started out with an energy like this, where I said you needed to spend some time in nature, meditating. And so this card indicates the same. It's time to disconnect, spend some time in nature. That's going to open up the flow to your abundance and, help you with your spiritual growth, help you to continue down the spiritual path in a way that is conducive to your continued ascension. I hope that you enjoy your reading and you find it helpful. Namaste, dear.